106 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Dan Mandis Show. Hope you're doing well. TGIF. Thank goodness it is Friday. So we have another Diane Black commercial that we're going to dissect here on WTN. I heard this, I believe it started this morning, and I was surprised to hear the voice of Steve Gill on this particular radio commercial, and it's, again, promoting Diane Black. It is accusing Joe Carr in some sort of a per diem scandal. So I'm going to play you the commercial, and then I'm going to speak to Steve Gill to get some of the details on this commercial. But here it is, and then we'll talk to Steve.
Did you hear about Joe Carr's scandal? He took per diem travel money as a legislator, even though he lived only a short drive from the Capitol. Listen to what talk radio host Steve Gill had to say about Joe Carr.
I like Joe Carr. I like a lot of these guys. They shouldn't be taking the per diem. I've told them it's wrong. Taking money you don't deserve is a character issue. A fiscal conservative would not steal $15,000 to $18,000 a year from the taxpayers under false pretenses. That is not what a fiscal conservative does. It is not what an honest person would do.
The newspaper proved nobody in the delegation abused the system more than Joe Carr. He swiped $18,000 from taxpayers in 1 year alone.
I'm Diane Black, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
All right, so the terminology within that commercial, Joe Carr swiped, what was it, $18,000, whatever it is. Steve Gill joins us. Steve, always great to have you on, and it's, there you go, Steve, thanks for calling in. So, Steve, were you surprised that you were featured in this commercial?
I'm always surprised to hear me on the air when I'm not on the air. So it's always surprising. You tune in, you're hearing commercials, anything like that. You know what is really disgusting about this particular ad is that it underlines the hypocrisy and the trouble with the truth that Diane Black has. I mean, we've just watched Hillary Clinton spend a week of spinning lies. You know, the economy's better than we believe. The world is safer than we think. We've heard lies from the Democrats all week, and then Diane Black finishes up with this ad claiming that Joe Carr swiped $18,000 and using my voice to do it. What Diane Black doesn't tell you is I was talking about her too.
Yes.
Diane Black was in the legislature. Diane Black collected the per diem, and the per diem, for people who may not know, you get mileage as a legislator for driving in to work. I think, frankly, if I commute from Brentwood or somebody commutes from Mount Juliet into Nashville to work, most of us don't get paid mileage to go to work.
Right.
But legislators have set up a system where they did.
Well, Steve, Steve, hold on. Steve, hold on. I want to put this in perspective, okay? Because there's folks like me who I've only been here for 2.5 years now. It's hard to believe, and so I have some questions regarding this time period because I think there's a lot here to digest, but I do want to put this in perspective. So this ad talks about per diem, and it talks about how Joe Carr, they single out Joe Carr as the guy that, again, swiped $18,000. Other state legislators were doing this as well, as you just said, and this is per diem pay. And part of this relates to the fact that they used to get per diem money regardless as to whether they lived 5 minutes from the State House or 3 hours. They all got the same amount of money. And I do want to make sure that folks know that it was Joe Carr and all of the state legislators got the same amount of money, correct?
Including Diane Black,
Yes.
who was commuting from Sumner County, and all of them, and I called out all of them, including Diane Black, then State Representative Deborah Maggart, who was Diane Black's crony up there,
Right.
Susan Lynn, Charles Sargent in Brentwood. They were all collecting about $173 per day for a hotel. Of course, they weren't staying in a hotel. They were going home. And for meals. And they were getting fed by lobbyists. So my point on all of them was, this is wrong. It's dishonest. You ought to change it. Here's the big difference, though, Dan, and why Diane Black is such an abhorrent hypocrite. She didn't do anything about this for the 12 years she was in the legislature. After she left the legislature, having collected herself more than $100,000 in this money, Senator Farrell, who replaced her, filed a bill to stop this, and Joe Carr, along with others, voted to stop letting people who live close get this per diem money. Diane Black didn't do anything but take the money and run. Joe Carr, Farrell, and the others voted to stop it, and it's no longer being collected by those who live in close proximity to the Capitol.
Now, why was Joe specifically, and I don't know this, I'm asking you because you were one of the guys that helped change this law, Steve, to your credit. So why does the ad say that, quote unquote, the newspaper said that they kind of singled out Joe Carr? Was there a reason why, or did the newspaper at the time single out Joe Carr as being, I believe the ad said, the most egregious?
No, there was not a news article that singled out Joe Carr. They listed the 20 or so legislators within this 50-mile radius of the Capitol and detailed how much in that particular period of time had been claimed as per diem. You had folks like, Diane Black was about $16,500. Joe was at about $18,100. Joe, of course, lives a little bit further away than Diane, so his was slightly higher. It also matters if you go to the office X number of days or Y number of days. But Joe, after that first year, when it was highlighted as, hey, I didn't realize this gets charged automatically without me asking for it, he became one of the lowest level of per diem receivers in the legislature. So they're misrepresenting it. They're again, it's the hypocrisy of Diane Black saying, it's Joe Carr did this when she did it longer and worse.
So was this Joe Carr's first year in the state legislature? Is that why he got caught up in this? Is, where's the men's room and why am I getting an additional, whatever it was every single month? And so once it was highlighted and once Joe realized, and just so folks know, I'm not necessarily sticking up for Joe Carr. I just want to know the truth. And I want other folks to know the truth as well, because when this ad came out this morning, I did my own checking around, and I wanted to find out what was the truth behind this. And I consider Steve Gill a friend of mine, and so I wanted to find out exactly what was going on. Also, just so people know, I have reached out to the campaign of Diane Black, and I have essentially given Diane and her folks carte blanche. Anytime they want to come on this radio station, as far as I'm concerned with my show, they're welcome anytime. They declined to come on to talk about this particular ad, but hopefully she'll come on at some point and answer the allegations that this ad is misleading, because, Steve, to me, it does look like it's misleading, and I think this is one of the problems that people have with politicians and political ads, generally speaking. We just had a situation with Diane here in the past couple of weeks where this other ad that said that she was attacked by 3 men, it was only one. I don't want to regurgitate that whole thing, but that ad also, in my opinion, was misleading as well. This seems to be
and that's what this one is particularly misleading, because it makes it seem like Joe Carr is the only one doing this, when not only was Joe Carr doing it, but Charles Sargent over his career, 20 years, has taken over $250,000 in this per diem. She's not calling him out, or Bill Ketchrin, or Susan Lynn,
right,
or when Deborah Maggart was in. So, and Diane Black herself, in the 12 years she was in the legislature, at about $16,000 to $18,000 a year, you're looking at well over $100,000 in per diem that she herself took.
Right.
And it's the classic of a politician, career politician, pointing at the other guy to distract from what they themselves did. And I'm offended that she uses my voice, because I was calling out all the legislators, and we had a caller that said, well, why aren't you calling out Joe Carr? I said, because Joe Carr's a friend of mine. I like Joe, but I'm not giving him a pass on it. They're all doing the wrong thing. All of them should stop it. Joe Carr and the legislators stopped it. Diane Black, who was there for 12 years, didn't lift a finger, didn't file a bill to stop it. It never stopped when she was there.
And I guess what confuses me, Steve, and I don't know why I'm so confused when these things happen, but these are all things that are easily, forgive me, I invent words, checkupable. We can check up on these things. This is on the internet. There's people that know the truth. I mean, for the love of Pete, they used your voice, and you were one of the guys that helped change this rule in the state legislature. I guess my question would be, and you're a guy that watches politicians like a hawk, why do you think that these ads keep coming out that are so incredibly easy to disprove? I mean, they're running on WTN, and certainly they know that, and there are, just so everybody knows, I understand there are two sides to every story, but this is one of those things that is so easily disprovable. Why do they keep doing this? The campaign of Diane Black.
Well, she's got a lot of special interest money. She's gotten over $3 million in money from special interest lobbyists just in the last 6 years while she's been in Congress. So she can buy more ads to tell the lie than, the few minutes that we're on the air setting it straight. So somebody that next hour is tuning in, they'll hear the lie.
Right.
They won't hear us setting the record straight. So that's what they're counting on, that they're going to fool people, deceive people, which is why people are disgusted with incumbent politicians, why Bernie Sanders, why Donald Trump, why Ted Cruz, and all the outsiders have done so well in this election cycle, because people are figuring out that if you're in and playing these games, you have no business going back into elective office, because your integrity is at stake, and you have shown yourself not to be trustworthy.
So, Steve, take me back in time. This was back in all of these allegations, 2009, 2010. How long did it take for the state legislators to realize that, okay, this is wrong, and the people of Tennessee have now figured out what's going on with this whole per diem shenanigans, if you will? How long did it take for them to change the rule? Because this rule is no longer there, although I guess my question would be, if you are somebody who is driving 3 hours away, does that person get per diem? How does this rule stand now?
Yeah, if you're outside this kind of 50-mile corridor, you still get the per diem. And again, you've got the mileage, which again, if I'm driving from Knoxville and spending my time as a legislator, I should have my hotel and meal expenses compensated, just like if I'm in business and go to Cleveland for my company.
Correct.
You know, I've got expenses that are getting reimbursed.
Right.
But if I'm living in Gallatin and driving to Nashville and not staying in a hotel, why am I getting money from taxpayers to pay for a hotel I don't use? And that's what we hammered. And once we started highlighting it during one election cycle, and some of the politicians felt some pain, and the next election cycle we hammered it again, then they decided that maybe we ought to fix this, because Gil's not going to stop talking about it. And they fixed it to the tune of saving $250,000 a year just by changing this rule. But again, keep in mind, Senator Farrell Hale, who replaced Diane Black down the line, was the one who filed the bill to stop it. He never did anything to stop it during the 12 years she was there. So she may be trying to create this as a campaign issue now for her benefit, but while she was benefiting from the $16,000 to $18,000 a year, including money to stay in a hotel she didn't stay in,
right,
she didn't have any problem with it until she thought she could use it as a cheap political trick late in the campaign and hope that the truth would not get out. And again, she's going to air more spots lying than we can get out telling the truth.
Steve, is there anything you can do, and probably not, because it's, I guess it's fair use, I'm not sure. Is there anything you can do? Clearly, your voice is being utilized and it's being misrepresented as to your ideas and your thoughts at the time many years ago. Is there anything you can do about this?
I don't know. The problem that we have in politics, Dan, is that if I go and lie about my hamburger joint or toilet tissue, there's truth in advertising laws that punish me and make me pay a price for that. If I'm a politician like Diane Black, willing to say or do anything to keep my clutches on power, they can lie. They can absolutely lie. They can misrepresent. They can snip comments in a way that misportrays what was said. And again, the fact is, I called out Diane Black and all the legislators, not just Joe Carr. And she conveniently doesn't air the clip where I pointed out that she and Deborah Maggard and Susan Lynn and even May Beavers, again, people I like, and I called them out and said, you need to fix this.
Right.
And eventually they did. But Diane Black never did anything to fix it because she was too busy taking the money for her own benefit. And that's, again, why people are disgusted with these politicians. So can they lie with impunity? Yes. Unfortunately, those who set the rules that govern them allow themselves in politics to lie that they won't allow a business or a company to do to sell a product.
Steve Gill, appreciate you helping me set the record straight, and you have a great afternoon. My name is Dan Mandis on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.